The deep-seated belief that we have that we shouldn't have to do that. That us? No way, not me. That's too scary. That's asking too much of me. That is purely the ego. Welcome back, everyone, or if you're new to the channel, welcome to today's video. I'm Val Mason. Today I want to talk about what we see happen, and the responses from people when a person transforms their life from the inside out and they begin to live in alignment with their soul and their truth and their purpose, and they're synchronistically clicking with all of life. What we see, or what I see often, is, people will kind of swarm around this person. What's the secret to this transformation? That's baffling. Because when we see this happen, and this is happening all the time everywhere now, especially today. People are going into, the hero's journey, dark nights of the soul, kind of transformational, gestational process. And before they go into that and then they reemerge, essentially a different person, more of who they really are, more aligned. So before they go there, everyone has this kind of limited belief system. And we do this, by the way, especially if we're spiritually unconscious, if we're living unconsciously and we're going through the motions, we're not really aware, we don't have a lot of third eye reach. We have a box with a label for every person in our lives, and that included in that label is our relationship with them, our experiences with them, what we heard about them, what they've done, where we've been, And so I always say that just like we want to be recognized for our growth and evolution as people, we should allow others to be able to grow and change through us. And that's only possible if we're allowing ourselves to grow and change and continue to evolve. I just want to throw that in as a side note. And so we have this construct, this idea of a person before they go through this transformation and change. And they emerge from this change and transformation with integrity, with vulnerability, with truth. They live their truth. They speak it. They embody their truth. They're in alignment with their soul. They're living their purpose. They are aligning synchronistically with the world and life around them. And so for people, and we're always changing. We're always evolving. We're always getting a little bit more wise and, gaining a little bit more knowledge. But depending on how brutally honest you want to be with yourself and how diligent you are in terms of like, I want to grow and I want to evolve and I want to become the best that I can be as a person. Most people don't. Most people aren't. Most people are merely in survival mode for the most part. And so when this person reemerges from this period of transformation, they're different. They're more who they are. They're more aligned. They're more truthful, And when you speak the truth, that's scary to people. So what I've noticed is people will swarm around this individual kind of, and they'll be like looking them up and down and, trying to scratching their head, trying to figure out what it is that they did, how they did it, what's the secret here? How is this person doing what they're doing? And the reason that they don't get it, they cannot receive what it is that this transformed individual has done, is because in these people's minds it won't register in their mind because it's too threatening to the ego. It's too threatening to their ego. So what this person actually did cannot be received by these people because there's a block. And what that person actually did was face the deepest, darkest hell of their past, their trauma, their embarrassment, their fears, their wounds, going deep into their personal hell. That's how we grow. That's how we change and transform, evolve, and heal. And so they're unable to receive that because it's literally too threatening to their ego. And so when that happens, what we see is this changed person. It awakens within others demons. It awakens that fear. It awakens hatred. And so they ridicule and they persecute and they curse and they want to try to break and destroy this person, this force. They want to stop it. They want to cut it. They want to kill it. They want to cut that life force off and prevent it from going any further, because it's too hard for them to bear and handle. And I'll tell you why. Because there's a subconscious belief within them that they are not capable themselves of achieving that level of integrity, truth, vulnerability, alignment, fulfillment, etc. It's literally a limiting false subconscious belief system that causes people to do what they did to Jesus Christ. Like stone him and whip him and beat him and crucify him. Because of their own beliefs of unworthiness. And that's untrue. Any person's belief of unworthiness is the most untrue thing and the most false thing in the world. I have a quote that goes, "You don't set out to burn buildings to the ground, but sometimes they'll put a match to themselves when you walk by and call you the arsonist." And we see this all the time. We see that gaslighting and that kind of manipulation tactic in trying to make someone who lives with that level of integrity and truth and happiness into a bad person or into a negative kind of idea or force. It's remarkable, it's remarkable. And I'm going to tell you something. When we're diving deep here in terms of psychology, Jungian psychology and shadow work, you become detached from like morality in terms of right and wrong, good and bad. You become attached from emotions. You're going it's like a journalist often has this approach. A journalist needs to get they want to get this opinion and that opinion and that side, and they're looking into not only what they want to hear, but what they don't want to hear. Or maybe they don't realize that, maybe they do want, what I mean? Maybe they're just so non-judgmental. They're just curious to get into the root of beingness, of the nature of human consciousness. So when we're talking in terms of the nature of human consciousness, human nature, and mysticism, the laws of energy and spirituality, we go so deep as to we are released from the binds of judgment. When we're serious about, we're just genuinely curious, especially when we have this kind of paradigm and understanding that the world is a stage. I mean, the world is just a place where we come. It's just one chapter of the entire game of the universe as well, mind you, where we come to learn about ourselves, in a way that we otherwise couldn't, and the human consciousness is so low compared to a lot of other intelligent beings and their levels of consciousness and understanding in the cosmos. But we're just as important. Earth is a very important and crucial piece to the puzzle of the cosmos, which is why we're here, which is why we're here and why we're experiencing it and everything like that. Finding our truth. And I mean, it's on fractal scales. It's almost pointless to even sit there and try to dissect it because it goes so deep. So really what matters is that we do the best that we can with what we have while we have it. And, we have fun and enjoy ourselves and make as much good and beauty in the world as we possibly can. Do the best that we can to cultivate peace and unity among ourselves, and in order to do that, we do have to transcend the paradigm of good and bad, right and wrong, victim mentality. I mean, this is how we've raised our consciousness. That's consciousness raised, is being able to transcend the victim mentality and realize that nothing about the human experience is right or wrong, good or bad, black or white, ever. Whether the egoic mind can understand that or not. That's the key. Compassion and understanding, and knowing that nobody's perfect. That, everyone, we have to be able to flow. If we can approach ourselves first and foremost, and then one another and the rest of the planet with this outlook, what can we possibly create? What new systems can we create with this deep understanding of the nature of humanity? So back to what I was saying, and these individuals that, they want to burn themselves to the ground and call you the arsonist, when they do start to take, and everyone goes, it's a process. The healing is a process. Raising your consciousness is a process. You have to break down and break through all along the way, all throughout life. And what happens is when they start to understand what this person really did to heal and transform and become authentic and real, they tend to think, not me. Oh, I don't have to do that. I don't have to do that. God didn't say that I have to do that. God doesn't want me to do that, because that's going to make me vulnerable, and that's going to expose me to the world, and that's going to make me feel embarrassed probably in certain situations, and I'm going to have to face that, and I have to change that. It's like, this is where I'm getting at here in terms of consciousness and psychology. The deep belief, the deep-seated belief that we have that we shouldn't have to do that. That us? No way, not me. That's too scary. That's asking too much of me. That is purely the ego. Your soul and your spirit, like I say in my other videos, don't care about your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions, and your fears. In fact, we are here to take personal responsibility and rise out of our fears and out of victim mentality in order to claim who we are. How are we going to help heal the planet and the roles that we've been getting? How can we, if we're key players, maybe we don't even have to view it like that. Let's just not even call ourselves key players, because no one person is more different or better than the next. I can tell you that right now. So if we want to help one another heal, if we take on this sort of role, if we have this desire to do good for the world and help one another and help other people realize their worthiness and their belonging and restore the peace and love and harmony, how can we do that if we don't go all the way deep to the root of who we are and are willing to share that with the world? How are we going to help them heal if we can't actually show them how it's done? And then there will be, when you heal to that level, there will be others that are seeing you and they're like, no, I don't have to do that. That doesn't apply to me. That's not required of me. Why do you think that, first and foremost? Ask yourself, why do you think that you shouldn't have to do that? That's what I want you to ask yourself, because nobody's different or better than the rest of us at all. The soul wants this awesome sense of liberation and freedom from within. And that's not achieved by this deep-seated belief system that we shouldn't have to put ourselves in a vulnerable position or put ourselves in a place where we might lose people and places and things. It's the human ego. That is the human ego talking. It's deep and it's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow. Boy, it's a really hard pill to swallow. But I believe that is so important to bring to light, because, this is what healing is all about. is being able to, let go. Healing, what is healing, right? I mean, we don't ever reach this point where we're like, healed, like ring a bell or something. I believe in my personal opinion and experience with healing, as I continue to heal and will continue to heal throughout the rest of my life, is how intimately are we willing to know ourselves? How deeply are we willing to know ourselves, and how much are we willing to face what we've always avoided within, so that we can continue going deeper, rising higher, evolving, helping others. That to me is the dance of healing. So, and I often find myself, especially in these times, with this idea about healing and kind of getting to this kind of illusory goal that I've created in my mind. I'm always reminding myself, come back to the present moment. That's the only thing that we ever have, is the present moment. Ever. That's all that we have. We're creating our future in the present moment. So if we're thinking and worrying about the future and imagining what it'll be, without being anchored into the present moment and taking those aligned actions and steps towards it, if we're only in the future, we're not actually in the present moment. The present moment is where everything is. It's the eternal now. It's being all here together as one. There's not a thing more beautiful. Being anchored in the present moment is stress-free, is anxiety-free, is depression-free. If you have depression, it comes from the past. If you have anxiety, it's coming from the future. This is a dance. This is the tightrope of being a spiritually conscious human being, is learning how to be in the present moment as much as you possibly can. Because we're still humans, we have to be, we're taken from the past and we're projecting into the future. And that's the brain, that's what our brain does. And because we're not monks that all, live in a monastery on a mountain, we have to function within society, and especially here in Western civilization, where nobody is thinking like this. It's a dance. And it's a practice. Living in the present moment is truly a practice. And that gets hard when times get demanding and challenging of us, and we're healing trauma, So, that was a little bit more in this video than I had anticipated, but may we all be willing to face the deepest, darkest parts of us continually as we continue to heal and evolve and morph, and may we anchor into the present moment and be as one with all of life around us as much as we possibly can through that process and journey. Go ahead and drop a like, leave a comment, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more videos. Thank you, everyone.